New at 10, a radical change to Quincy's towing statutes may be coming soon.
Quincy Police introduced a new ordinance at tonight's City Council meeting. It's all aimed at cracking down on crime by towing more vehicles for more offenses. WGEM's Zeke Shapiro is here now to show us how big of a change this could all be. Zeke?
Currently, your car can only be towed for driving under the influence and driving without a valid insurance and no license. However, the Quincy Police Department wants to increase that. Chief Adam Yates laid out 10 more crimes that would warrant a tow if caught by police. On top of the expansion, Chief Yates' proposal included the addition of a $200 fine directly paid to the department on top of the payment that would already be owed to the towing company.
The point behind the ordinance is to deter criminal activity, to separate folks from the tools that they are using to facilitate those crimes, and then to recoup an administrative cost that our department incurs whenever we tow a vehicle.
If the ordinance is passed at next week's meeting, Chief Yates said he aims for a March 1st implementation date. Some of the crimes that Chief Yates wants to add are violent felonies, fleeing an officer, and hit and run, among several others. And he humorously started his presentation by explaining that those who, quote, have a valid driver's license and don't commit crimes have nothing to worry about. Daniel?
All right, thank you, Zeke. The City Council also approved a resolution that would see the city pay $60,000 for a maintenance plan for all electrical equipment at the city's sewage pumping stations and treatment plants.